talking about the cat and being like, I might look back on this in 10, 15, 20 years and be like, I probably should have gone about that a different way. Since you've been in the internet game for so long, you can truly go look back and essentially watch film on yourself, your views, the way you approach stuff. What are some things you've looked back on in the past where you're like, okay, I can see where I navigated that incorrectly, or not incorrectly, but I see things a little bit differently now?
This is a great question. And I really need people, you should be, it's a great question. It was really well done. It was pretty well done. It was very contextual to the moment, a little improv, but macro. I thought it was really good.
Appreciate that, thank you.
The thing that stands out here, and this I'm excited about answering as well, things are contextual. So I think a thing that people beat people up about, this is why cancel culture is so flawed. People trying to rewind shit from 29 years ago and yell at people for what is a social norm now, shit changes. So when I was making videos in 2008 and being like, yo, you gotta go hard at 9 p.m. to midnight, at that point, everyone was out of a job. The economy collapsed. And the internet was exploding. I was right. When someone like brings it up now, 15 years later, and be like, oh, people were burning out. I'm like, people didn't even know what the fuck burning out was then. People weren't worried about burnout. People were worried about fucking paying their bills. So I think a lot of what I look back at, what works for me, that I highly talk to a lot of content creators, influencers about, is like, never say something you don't believe. The amount of people that say shit that they don't believe in, only with the hope of going viral, is a fucking disaster. No million views is worth looking back at it and being like, you're an idiot. So the reason I don't have a lot of answers to your question is because everything that's ever come out of my mouth, I mean. So I feel good there.
Yeah.
But I think what's interesting is to look back at context. I think the things that I think about is, I think the middle, purple, is the game. I think America's gotten way too red and way too blue. And purple is the magic. So when I look at things back, sometimes I didn't create a hedge or a context point to my overall thought. So I'll give you a great one that's happening now. I'll break it fully down since we have a minute. As you two may know, and as some of the people who are watching who have seen my content, I believe in volume of content. I believe it's crazy for you to do this show with me and not put out 150 clips from the show. But when I say 150, people take it, and I don't do a good enough job to say not 150 on Instagram, 150. For example, I think 12 YouTube Shorts posts from this are important because if you title it properly, YouTube's the second biggest search engine, and somebody might watch a clip from this in 3 years and discover you guys. Because YouTube works differently than TikTok. Then there's TikTok. Then there's Facebook. Do you guys post clips on Facebook?
Yeah.
More. Because it's a supply and demand issue right now. I'm pretty sure you don't post on Pinterest. It's probably unlikely that you post on LinkedIn. LinkedIn, I would argue, is your biggest opportunity for your audience and how you roll. So when I think but I'll say in a clip, I'll look back and be like, post 40 times a day. And people take it as like in their one channel and they're like, that's stupid, or I don't get it, or I can't. Another thing that I've been thinking through, for example, because I've been speaking of volume of content for 7 years, is I take for granted that I've made good content. You're making a good show. It has the potential to have 7 or 12 or 15 pieces of content. I think of things now more, and I've always thought of it this way, but I didn't articulate it, that it is a quality quantity framework. You should post 40 times a day over 7 different platforms if you have quality.